Hey Aries, I just pulled cards for you and honestly I need to talk about what came through because this reading feels different. The energy here is so soft and reassuring in a way that I think you really need to hear right now. So I'm looking at the cards spread out in front of me, and the first thing that strikes me is this theme of liberation mixed with practical magic. You know that dream you've been holding close to your chest, the one you sometimes worry is too big or too unrealistic. The cards are saying something completely different, and I want you to really hear this. The first card that came out is the Eight of Swords, and I have to say when this appeared I actually smiled because I know what this means for your situation. You've been feeling trapped by your own thoughts, haven't you? Like you're standing in the middle of all these swords stuck in the ground or on you and you think there's no way out. But here's what people miss about this card, and what the universe wants you to understand right now. Those bindings are on your eyes. They're loose. Those swords creating that cage. There are gaps everywhere. The restriction isn't actually real, Aries. It never was. I'm sitting here, looking at this card, and thinking about how many times you've probably told yourself that your dream is impractical, or that you don't have what it takes, or that the timing isn't right. And the Eight of Swords is coming through to say that every single one of those thoughts is a sword you placed in your own path. Not because you're weak or foolish, but because sometimes we protect ourselves from disappointment by deciding something is impossible before we even really try. Does that resonate with you? Because the energy here is so specific about mental barriers rather than actual obstacles. What's beautiful about this card showing up first is that it's acknowledging where you are right now. You're not being judged for feeling stuck or scared. The universe sees you standing there blindfolded thinking you can't move forward, and it's approaching you with so much gentleness, saying, hey, I understand why you feel this way, but I need to show you something. And that something is that you have more freedom than you realize. Your dream isn't being blocked by external circumstances as much as it's being blocked by the story you're telling yourself about what's possible. I want you to think about this for a second. When did you start believing that this particular dream was unrealistic? Was it something someone said to you? Was it because you looked around and didn't see people like you doing this thing? Was it because you tried before and it didn't work out the way you hoped? The Eight of Swords is asking you to trace back to the origin of that belief, because once you see where it came from, you'll realize it's not actually truth, it's just a thought that you've been repeating so many times it started to feel like fact. The energy of this card in your reading is also talking about self-imposed limitations around timing. You might be thinking you're too late or too early, or that you missed your window. But Aries, the swords are on you aren't moving, they're static, which means the prison is timeless. You can step out of it right now, today, in this moment, by simply deciding that those thoughts don't get to run your life anymore. I know that sounds simple and maybe even a little dismissive of how hard this has been for you, but I promise the cards are showing me that the shift available to you is more immediate than you think. Now the second card I pulled is the Queen of Swords, and oh, this is perfect. After the Eight of Swords shows you that you're mentally trapped, this Queen comes in with her clear, sharp energy and says, okay, let's cut through all of that nonsense. The Queen of Swords doesn't have time for illusions or sugarcoating or stories we tell ourselves to stay small. She sits on her throne with her sword pointed up at the sky, and she sees truth. Just truth. Nothing else. What I love about this Queen appearing in your reading is that she represents a part of you that already knows your dream is realistic. There's a version of you that exists beyond the fear and doubt, and when you connect with her you become so clear, so focused, so unbothered by other people's opinions or your own past failures. This Queen has already decided. She's not hoping or wishing or wondering if maybe possibly one day. She knows. And she's waiting for the rest of you to catch up to that knowing. The Queen of Swords is really interesting in tarot because she's often misunderstood as cold or harsh, but actually, she's one of the most compassionate cards in the deck. Her compassion shows up as clarity. She loves you enough to tell you the truth even when the truth is uncomfortable. And the truth she's bringing to your reading today is that you've been lying to yourself about what you're capable of. Not in a mean way, but in a protective way. You convinced yourself the dream was unrealistic so that if it didn't happen you could say, well, I knew it was impossible anyway, and that would hurt less than admitting you tried your absolute hardest and fell short. But here's what the Queen of Swords wants you to understand. That protection mechanism is actually keeping you trapped By deciding in advance that failure is inevitable, you're creating the exact conditions for that failure. You're not giving your full energy or attention or belief to this dream because you're holding back, preparing yourself for disappointment. And dreams need your full presence. Aries, they need you to show up with both feet in without an escape route planned without a backup story about why it was never going to work. Anyway, this queen is also talking to me about communication, and I'm getting that. There's something you need to say out loud about your dream. Maybe you need to tell someone what you're actually going for. Maybe you need to ask for help or support or resources. Maybe you just need to speak it into existence by saying, I am doing this thing, and it is going to work. The Queen of Swords rules communication, and her message here is that your words have power and you've been using that power to talk yourself out of your dream instead of into it. I'm also seeing with this queen that you have the mental capacity to figure out the practical steps. You're not being asked to just believe really hard and hope the universe delivers. You're being asked to combine your belief with your intelligence, with your strategic thinking, with your ability to cut through confusion and see the clearest path forward. The Queen of Swords knows how to plan. She knows how to prioritize. She knows how to say no to distractions and yes to what matters. And all of that wisdom is available to you right now if you're willing to step into this energy. The third card coming through is the Five of Pentacles, and okay, I know this card can look scary at first glance. It's usually depicted as two figures walking through snow outside a church with a stained glass window showing 5 pentacles that represent abundance and help that's available, but they're not seeing it because they're focused on their struggle. And honestly, when this card showed up, I paused because I wanted to understand exactly what message it has for you in this context. Here's what I'm getting. The Five of Pentacles in this reading is not predicting hardship or scarcity. Instead, it's showing you a pattern that you need to recognize and break. You have been walking past sources of support and abundance because you're so convinced that you have to do everything alone, or that no one will understand, or that asking for help means you're weak or your dream isn't valid. And Aries, this card is literally showing you that there's a door right there. There's warmth and community and resources available, but you have to turn your head and see them. This ties back beautifully to the Eight of Swords because both cards are about perception. The Eight of Swords says you're not as trapped as you think. The Five of Pentacles says you're not as alone or under-resourced as you think. There's a theme building here about the gap between your perception of your situation and the actual reality of what's available to you. And the universe is being so gentle in pointing this out. It's not scolding you. It's just saying, hey sweetheart, look over here, there's help, there's support. There's proof that people have done what you want to do and succeeded. I'm also getting with the Five of Pentacles that part of why your dream has felt unrealistic is because you've been calculating the odds based on doing everything by yourself with the resources you currently have access to. And when you do that math, it probably does look impossible. But you're not being asked to do it alone. You're being asked to be willing to receive, to collaborate, to learn from people who've walked this path before, to accept that support comes in unexpected forms and sometimes from unexpected people. The Five of Pentacles can also represent a spiritual crisis of faith, and I wonder if you've been questioning whether the universe actually supports your dreams or if you're just being delusional. This card is answering that question. The church in the traditional imagery represents divine support and higher power, and the fact that it's there, glowing with light in the middle of the storm, says that yes, spiritual support is real and available, but you have to acknowledge it and walk toward it. You can't stand in the cold refusing to believe the door will open and then use the cold as evidence that you're not supported. Moving into the fourth card now, and this is the Two of Pentacles, and I actually laughed a little when this came out because it's so perfect. The Two of Pentacles is the juggler card. It shows a figure dancing and juggling to pentacles with ease, managing multiple things at once, finding balance in motion. And after the Five of Pentacles showed you that you're not as lacking in resources as you thought, the Two of Pentacles comes in to say, and actually you're going to need to juggle a few things as this dream becomes real. This is not a warning, Aries. This is not the card saying, oh, it's going to be so hard and overwhelming. This is actually exciting energy. The Two of Pentacles represents the kind of dynamic balance that happens when your life is full and active and things are actually moving You know how when you're procrastinating or stuck everything feels heavy and hard. But when you're in flow and things are happening, you somehow find energy you didn't know you had, and you manage to balance work and passion, projects and relationships, and self-care all at once because you're lit up by what you're creating. That's the energy of this card. It's saying yes, as your dream becomes real, you're going to have to manage some moving pieces. Maybe you'll be working a job while building your dream on the side. Maybe you'll be balancing different aspects of this dream that seem to pull you in different directions. Maybe you'll be managing practical responsibilities while also staying connected to the creative, inspired part of this vision. And the Two of Pentacles is telling you that you can do this. In fact, you're going to be good at it. What I love about this card is the figure is dancing. They're not grimly forcing themselves to keep all the balls in the air. They're enjoying the flow. They've found a rhythm. And that's available to you too, Aries. This dream becoming real doesn't mean your life has to become joyless or exhausting. It means your life gets to become full in the best way. Full of purpose and movement and growth. And yes, sometimes you'll feel stretched, but it's the good kind of stretch, the kind that makes you realize how capable you actually are. The Two of Pentacles is also about adaptability, and this is crucial for your journey. Your dream might not unfold exactly the way you're currently picturing it. There might be plot twists or unexpected opportunities or moments where you need to pivot or adjust your approach. And this card is saying that's okay. Actually, that's part of the magic. Stay flexible. Stay open. Keep juggling. Keep dancing. Don't get so attached to one specific version of how this has to happen that you miss the version that wants to happen. The fifth card is the Knight of Wands. And okay, now we're really getting into it because this is pure forward motion energy. The Knight of Wands is not here to overthink or second guess or wonder if maybe. This knight has a destination, and they're riding toward it at full speed with complete confidence that they'll figure out the details along the way. And after all the mental barriers and self-doubt that showed up in the earlier cards, this knight is bursting onto the scene, saying enough talking about it, let's actually do this thing. What I'm getting from the Knight of Wands in your reading is that there's a moment coming very soon where something shifts inside you and you just go for it. You stop waiting for perfect conditions or total certainty or everyone's approval, and you start moving. And Aries, as a fire sign, this energy should feel really natural to you. This is your element. This is your wheelhouse. The Knight of Wands is reminding you of who you are at your core. Before fear convinced you to play it safe. This Knight is also talking about passion and inspiration. And I'm getting that your dream isn't unrealistic because of how much fire you have for it. In fact, your passion is proof that this dream is meant for you. The universe doesn't plant desires in your heart just to torture you with things you can't have. If you feel called to something, if it lights you up, if you can't stop thinking about it, that's information. That's guidance. That's the universe saying this is for you, now go get it. I'm also seeing with the Knight of Wands that you're being supported by synchronicities and opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere. This knight moves fast and attracts fast-moving energy. So you might find that once you commit to this dream, things start falling into place quicker than you expected. Doors open. People show up. Resources appear. And it's not magic in the sense of something coming from nothing. It's magic in the sense that when you align with your truth and move toward it with confidence, the universe rearranges itself to match your energy. The sixth card here is the Seven of Swords. And this one is interesting because the Seven of Swords often represents strategy or sometimes deception. But in your reading, I'm getting a very specific message. The Seven of Swords is about taking what's yours in a clever way. About not announcing all your plans to people who might talk you out of them. About protecting your dream in its early stages when it's still fragile and forming. What this means practically, Aries, is that you don't have to convince everyone that your dream is realistic. You don't need their permission or validation or approval. In fact, sharing your dream with people who don't have the capacity to dream as big as you do can actually drain your energy and make you doubt yourself. The Seven of Swords is giving you permission to be strategic about who you share this with and to move in relative silence while you build. There's also something here about reclaiming parts of yourself that you gave away or dimmed down in order to fit in or be realistic or meet other people's expectations. The Seven of Swords can represent taking back what was taken from you And I'm getting that your dream is connected to a version of yourself that you might have lost touch with. A version of you that was bolder, more playful, more willing to take creative risks. And part of this journey is about stealing yourself back from the life you built to make other people comfortable. This card is also encouraging you to be clever and strategic in how you approach your dream. You don't have to bulldoze your way through obstacles. Sometimes the smartest path is the indirect one. Sometimes you need to gather resources quietly before making your big move. Sometimes you need to learn the rules of the game so you know exactly which ones you can break. The Seven of Swords is your permission slip to be smart about this, to use your intelligence and wit to navigate toward your goal in whatever way works best for you. The seventh card is the Nine of Pentacles, and this is where the reading really opens up into full confirmation of your dream. The Nine of Pentacles is one of the most abundant, independent, self-sufficient cards in the entire deck. It shows someone standing in their garden surrounded by the fruits of their labor, enjoying the life they built with their own hands. And this card appearing here is the universe showing you the destination. This is where this journey leads. What I love about the Nine of Pentacles in this position is that it's not about sudden windfalls or luck or someone else making your dream come true for you. It's about you creating something sustainable through your effort and dedication and skill. It's about you becoming the person who can hold and maintain the level of success and abundance that your dream represents. And that's the real magic here, Aries. Your dream isn't unrealistic because the person you need to become in order to achieve it is already inside you, waiting to emerge. This card is also about enjoying your life now, even while you're building towards something bigger. The figure in the Nine of Pentacles isn't waiting until everything is perfect to feel abundant. They're present in the garden they've cultivated. They're appreciating the beauty around them. They're savoring the journey. And that's an important message for you, because I'm getting that sometimes you postpone joy thinking you can only be happy once the dream is fully realized. But the Nine of Pentacles says no, you get to feel abundant and grateful and celebratory at every stage of this process. I'm also seeing that the Nine of Pentacles represents a kind of independence and self-reliance that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone else. You're not dependent on external validation. You've built something that's truly yours, and that gives you a confidence that no one can shake. And as your dream becomes real, Aries, you're going to discover this quality in yourself. You're going to realize that you don't need anyone else to believe in you as long as you believe in yourself. The eighth card is the Four of Wands, and I have to tell you, when this card showed up, I actually got emotional because it's such a yes from the universe. The Four of Wands is celebration, completion, homecoming, achievement. It's the card of joyful milestones and reaching a point where you can pause and acknowledge how far you've come. And in the context of your dream, this card is saying there is absolutely going to be a moment where you look around and realize you actually did it. The thing that felt unrealistic is now your reality. The Four of Wands often shows up for actual events like weddings or parties or ceremonies. But on a deeper level, it represents creating a stable foundation that allows you to celebrate. It's about building something real and tangible that you can point to and say, I made this. And your dream, whatever it is, has that quality. It's not just a fantasy or a wish. It's something you can actually construct step by step until one day you're standing in the middle of it wondering how you ever doubted it was possible. What I'm also getting from the Four of Wands is that your dream involves some kind of community or sharing or collaboration. This might not be a solo journey, even though the Nine of Pentacles talked about independence. There's a way that your achievement gets to be celebrated with others, or maybe your dream itself involves bringing people together or creating something that serves a community. And the Four of Wands is saying that collective energy is part of what makes this dream so special and so worth pursuing. This card is also permission to celebrate the small wins along the way. You don't have to wait until the entire dream is manifested to acknowledge your progress. Every step forward deserves recognition. Every moment you choose courage over fear deserves a little party. The Four of Wands energy is about letting yourself feel good about what you're creating, even when it's still in process, even when there's still more to do. The ninth card is the Two of Wands, and this is so interesting because we've gone from the beginning of the journey with all the mental barriers through the action phase, and now the Two of Wands is asking you to expand your vision even further. The Two of Wands shows someone standing at a high vantage point holding a globe, looking out at all the possibilities. They've already achieved something represented by the castle or walls behind them, but they're not settling. They're asking themselves, what's next? What else is possible? How big can this get? And I think the message here, Aries, is that your dream might actually be a gateway to something even bigger. What feels like the ultimate goal right now might turn out to be the foundation for the next level of your evolution. The Two of Wands is encouraging you to think expansively, to not put a ceiling on what's possible, to stay open to the idea that this dream could unfold in ways that are even better and bigger than what you're currently imagining. This card is also about planning and vision and the long game. It's not just about taking impulsive action like the Knight of Wands. It's about sustainable strategic planning that takes into account where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years beyond. And your dream deserves that kind of long-term thinking. It deserves for you to build it in a way that lasts, in a way that can grow and evolve with you. The Two of Wands can also represent a choice between staying comfortable or taking a risk and expanding. And I'm getting that you're at that exact choice point right now. Part of you wants to stay in the familiar, safe territory of telling yourself the dream is unrealistic because that feels less vulnerable than actually going for it. And another part of you is holding that globe, looking at all the possibilities, feeling that pull toward expansion. The Two of Wands is saying you already know which choice is aligned with your soul. Now it's just about having the courage to make it. And finally, the 10th card, the last piece of this puzzle, is the Star, and I could not have asked for a more perfect card to complete this reading. The Star is hope, renewed faith, clarity, healing after a dark time. It's the card that shows up when the worst is over and you can finally see the light again. And in your reading, the Star is confirming everything that's come before it. Your dream is not unrealistic. In fact, it's divinely guided. The Star is one of the most spiritual cards in tarot. It represents connection to something bigger than yourself, a sense that you're being guided and supported by forces you can't always see but can definitely feel. And after all the practical cards about strategy and action and balance, the Star comes in to remind you that there's magic involved here too. There's grace. There's divine timing. There's a sense that you're exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you're meant to do. What I love about the Star appearing at the end of your reading is that it represents hope that's not naive or blind. The figure in the Star card is pouring water onto the earth and into a pool. They're actively participating in the flow of abundance. They're not just wishing and hoping. They're taking inspired action while trusting the process. And that's the balance you're being called to find, Aries. Take action but trust. Plan but stay open. Work hard but know that you're supported. The Star is also about healing, and I'm getting that pursuing this dream is going to heal something in you. Maybe it will heal the part of you that learned to play small. Maybe it will heal old wounds around worthiness or capability. Maybe it will heal the disconnect between who you've been pretending to be and who you actually are. Whatever needs healing, this dream is medicine for it. And the Star always makes me think about wishes and how when we were kids we believed so completely in the power of wishing on a star. We didn't question whether it was realistic. We just wished with our whole hearts and trusted that somehow the universe heard us. And I think that's part of the message here. Your dream requires you to reconnect with that childlike faith, that sense of wonder and possibility that existed before the world taught you to be cynical or realistic or practical. So, Aries, let me bring this all together for you. You pulled the 8 of Swords, showing you that the only thing trapping you is your own mindset. The Queen of Swords came in to cut through the lies you've been telling yourself about what's possible. The 5 of Pentacles revealed that you have more support and resources available than you realize. The 2 of Pentacles showed you that you can balance all the moving pieces as this dream becomes real. The Knight of Wands brought that fire and forward momentum and confidence. The 7 of Swords gave you permission to be strategic and protect your dream from people who would diminish it. The 9 of Pentacles showed you the abundant, independent life waiting for you on the other side of this journey. The 4 of Wands promised you celebration and achievement and moments of pure joy. The 2 of Wands expanded your vision even bigger. And the Star wrapped it all up with divine confirmation that you are exactly on the right path. Your dream is not unrealistic, Aries. It never was. What's actually unrealistic is the idea that you could ignore this calling forever, that you could keep playing small, that you could let fear win. That's what's unrealistic. You were put on this earth to create and explore and take bold action toward things that light you up. And this particular dream, it's yours. It has your name on it. The universe has already said yes. Now it's your turn. I hope this reading gave you what you needed to hear today. If any of this resonated with you, I would love to know which card hit hardest or what part of the message felt most relevant to where you are right now.